Hey everyone, welcome to Tathastu. I hope you all are doing good. Well, couple of days back we discussed an article where the two supreme leaders of India and China, Prime Minister Modi from India and President Xi Jinping from China, both decided that on the western border of India, the Indian-Chinese border, they will de-escalate, especially in the Ladakh region. Okay, and while discussing that article, we were apprehensive that China has said this, but will China abide by it, or will China pull a typical China thing? और हुआ भी यही. The news is that China presents a new map, a new standardized map, and it includes Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai into that map. Okay, and India is obviously furious on that. So today we are going to talk about this thing, what is in news, and what are the different sectors which is divided between India and China, especially typically that border which is in eastern side, western side and the central region where the India-China border meets at Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and what are the dynamics of India-China relations specifically on the border, and why is China doing this, and is it a typical thing or is it a thing which can be seen in silo, or is there any continuity in Chinese aggression? Okay, so let's see this. What is this? Why is this in news? Well, China released a new map 2023, a new edition of map, a standardized map where it included Arunachal Pradesh and claimed it as a region of South Tibet, or claimed it as South Tibet. Okay, the whole of Arunachal Pradesh, the 90,000 square kilometers of Arunachal Pradesh, China is claiming that it is ours. Okay. Second is Aksai, which was occupied by China after 1962 war. Again, they are claiming it कि it's ours, it's historically ours, although they captured in 1962, अभी कुछ ही दिन हुए हैं, but still they are claiming it कि historically it is them, it belongs to them. Okay. Other than this, other than these two things which India claims, there is another region which is Taiwan, and there are tensions between Taiwan and the mainland China is this. So the China includes Taiwan on its map as a part of its territory, and Taiwan considered itself a sovereign nation, as we all know, specifically in last couple of years when there's a all clamor about the semiconductor chips and everything regarding that, and China is the main producer of semiconductor chips, and America has repeatedly said that Taiwan has our backing, and China is saying for last 1 and 2 years that a day will come very soon when we are going to capture the whole of Taiwan. Okay, so again in their map they showed that other than Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai, they claim the whole of Taiwan. Other than this, there is they also altered 9-dash line and South China Sea, the regions of the areas of South China Sea. Okay, China claims over a significant portion of South China Sea, the portion which belongs to Malaysia and other countries of Southeast Asia. So it claims that this large portion of South China Sea belongs to them, and the controversial 9-dash line, they also included that line also. Okay, so they did what China is famous for, what China is typically known for, and in the response of this, our honorable foreign minister Mr. S. Jaishankar, he is very with his statements, specifically in these kind of conditions, he comes out in a very flamboyant way, and here also he said that this is China's general tendency. China claims that this territory is mine, this territory is mine, but ऐसा बोल देने से हो नहीं जाता है, and it doesn't really matter to India and to other parts of the region also. Okay, so let's talk about the different sectors, different regions about the border which lies between India and China. So this whole border is divided into 3 parts. Okay, in last class also we discussed this. So this is first part, the Ladakh region, the Jammu Kashmir region. This is second part, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand region, and this is the third part where Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. So this is the boundary area between India and China. Okay, so we are going to talk about all these 3 regions separately and what is the dynamics here in each separate region. Okay. So the sticking point is India and China have a total boundary of around 4,050 kilometers divided into 3 sectors. The state of Jammu and Kashmir, one is this, and the Uttaranchal and Himachal Pradesh, this is the Uttaranchal and Himachal Pradesh region, and the third region is Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. They share their borders with the China. Okay, so this is the thing. Let's move on with our first thing. the first region. But before that, as we said, we will discuss about, is this mapping thing, is this something which should be seen in an individuality, or is there a particular pattern about China? Is China trying to do this thing in India's eastern border consistently? Okay, so recent Chinese aggression in the eastern sector, let's talk about that. So in 2022 they have done something like this. The first point is China announced Chinese names of the 15 places in Arunachal Pradesh in January 2022. Okay, so first thing they did this. Secondly, China adopted a new law on the protection and exploitation of the land border areas in October 2022, which formalizes some of China's recent actions in disputed territories with both India and Bhutan. With Bhutan, there was an issue with the Doklam Chinese issue, and India stepped in. India tried to save Bhutan, or tried to keep its word. So this is the second thing. This is the second contention between India and China. Thirdly, China has deployed a high number of reserve troops along the LAC in the Eastern Command. China has deployed a high number of reserve troops along the LAC in Eastern Command, and has conducted annual training exercise on the longer duration in depth areas. Okay, so this is a thing. Even they have made few villages where both soldiers and villagers are living, and this is the fourth point, that China has increased patrolling activities in the region and has constructed dual-use border villages and troop habitats, which can be used both by the military and which can be used by the civilians also. Okay, so this is the thing. These are the things. Other than this, they also provided stapled visa. Okay, they said that they need the people who belong to the state of Arunachal Pradesh, on their visa, if they want to visit China, they won't be required to get their visa stamped. Okay, to get their passport stamped with the visa. So they provided only for the people of Arunachal Pradesh. There is a special thing called stapled visa. Okay, so China provides stapled visa to the people of Arunachal Pradesh, which can easily be removed. Stapled visa is like stapler. Ek paper liya and you just staple it. Okay. So it is easily to remove, and your passport will not get stamped. Okay, so we are going to talk about these three different regions and the dynamics regarding this, and how India and China differ on each part, and what is the history of each part. Okay, so this is the area of 4,000 kilometers. Okay, so each area has its own dynamics, each area has its own problems, and each area has its own perspective from the viewpoint of India and China. Okay, so let's have a look on this. Firstly, let's talk about the western sector, the Ladakh, this Aksai Chin sector. Okay, so location Aksai Chin region, which is located in the eastern part of Ladakh region of the Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so now Ladakh is a separate union territory. Day before yesterday, the Chief Justice of India, he also said that Ladakh, the Solicitor General in Supreme Court said that someday a day will soon come when elections will be held in Jammu and Kashmir, but Ladakh will stay as a separate union territory. Okay, so this was the region, Aksai Chin was the region, and it is a bone of contention in the western sector. The area is 38,000 square kilometers. Population is not very much, it is sparsely located, and the habitation is not very much good. 38,000 square kilometer, it means the half of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so Aksai Chin was a very big area which has been occupied by the Chinese aggression in 1962. Okay, so disputed claims. India claims the entire Aksai Chin. I'm now telling about the India's claim and territory, as well as the Shaksgam Valley. Okay, what is this valley? This was the valley, this was the region which has been gifted by the Pakistani side to the Chinese side. Okay, so this is the valley, this valley, and this whole entire Aksai Chin area has been claimed by India. China contests India's control over Daulat Beg Oldi. This Daulat Beg Oldi is the region where it is said that it has the highest airstrip, and where the patrolling aircrafts and the fighter jets, they can land. So this is the area in which is strategically very much important, and China claims that it doesn't belong to India, it should belong to us. Okay, so this is the thing. Other than this, let's talk about the history of this Aksai Chin and this western sector. So this Aksai Chin region was under the control of British Empire until 1947. Okay, सारी प्रॉब्लम, सारी समस्याओं की जड़ यही है कि कहीं ना कहीं से ब्रिटिशर्स ही आ जाते हैं. After 1947, India's independence in 1947, China and India both claimed Aksai Chin region. Okay, both wanted to claim this Aksai Chin region, a region of 38,000 square kilometers, a region which is strategically very much important, which is militarily, which could prove militarily advantage to any country, any part who have it. Okay, in 1962, China and India fought a war over Aksai Chin region. After the war, China gained control of the Aksai Chin region, and the region remains a disputed territory since then, okay, between India and China. So this is the history of Aksai Chin and the western sector. If we talk about the central sector, which has a boundary of only 625 kilometers of this sector, is least controversial between the two nations. Both are pretty much agreeing on the things, on the papers, on the documentation, that okay, this is the thing and we agree to it. So there is no major disagreement over the boundary in this region between two countries, and this is the sector out of three. This is the sector which holds the lowest amount of square kilometers of the boundary, or the lowest kilometers of the boundary, okay, which is 625. Now talking about the eastern sector, so the location is this, the McMahon line, and this is the bone of contention, the McMahon line. So it runs from the eastern border of Bhutan to the Isurazi Pass on the China-Myanmar border. Okay, it's a very long border, and it is the, actually this border is the longest border. Okay, the area is 890 kilometers, and the population is sparsely populated. What is the disputed claim here? India claims the entire area up to the McMahon line. So this is the McMahon line, and India claims whole of this area. This is Arunachal Pradesh, the area of Arunachal Pradesh, and China does not recognize the McMahon line and claims that the area south of the line, this whole area south of this line, the whole of Arunachal Pradesh and this whole area belongs to them as a part of its Tibet autonomous region. Okay, they consider it as Tibet's autonomous region, and they consider it as a part of South Tibet. Even they call it South Tibet in their new recent new map. Okay, so what's the history of McMahon line? So the McMahon line was drawn up in 1914 by Sir Henry McMahon, and then the Foreign Secretary of British India, as a part of Shimla Accords. Okay, so 1913 and 1914 was the time when India, Tibet and China were having some issues. They wanted to clarify the contention, the confusion regarding this border dispute, and then this Sir McMahon, he came, and in 1914, according to Shimla Accord, decisions have been taken. So in Shimla Accord, the Shimla Accord were not signed by China, which has never recognized the McMahon line. In 1962, China and India fought a war and over the disputed territory in the eastern sector, and after the war, China gained the control of the area south of the McMahon line. But after having this line for a considerable time period, for few months, they left this area and said that we are respecting the McMahon line, we are going back. They expected that the people of Arunachal Pradesh will voluntarily voluntarily join the Chinese state. Okay, that was the historians say this is the reason why they have left the region. Okay, had it been the case that they would have known it, these Arunachal people and the people who are living in this region are Sacha Deshbhakt, they will not leave their land and they will not their Indian tag, they would have never given that the chance. Okay, they would have never taken that risk. So the border dispute in the eastern sector, McMahon line remains a major source of tension between the people of India and China. Okay, and this is the reason why, because of these dynamics, because of these reasons, the whole border, which has been distributed into three different parts, that is the eastern sector, the western sector and the central sector. As we know, in the central sector there is no major dispute on that particular 625 kilometers of line, but specifically on the McMahon line and in the Ladakh region, for which both India and China agreed that they will de-escalate. India is always ready to de-escalate, India is always ready to talk and come on the table, specifically with the China, but the Chinese aggression, China can come out, and China can always play a typical China thing, and it is quite difficult to trust China. And this has happened in the past also, when the Chinese president visited Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and he was swinging on the Jhula, and at that point in time when it was considered that the relation between the two countries would only be better from here, that was the time when the Chinese troops were they put their boots on the Indian ground, okay, on the Indian territory, okay. And similarly these things were happening. had जब भी कोई ऐसी इस तरह की कोई भी summit हो रही होती है, there are chances that because all this mapping, standardized mapping has happened between the BRICS summit and the G20 summit, okay. So it is a very crucial moment, and China never leaves these kind of opportunities to, you know, just pinch the neighbors, just pinch the beat the neighbors, beat the countries who are in the Southeast Asia or the South Asian countries with whom they are not having very good relationships, okay. So this is the thing. We divided the whole border thing into 3 different parts, and we tried to understand the history of it and dynamics of it. And whenever the news comes, China is trying to play a good boy. China is trying to play as a responsible country in the region, just as an Indian. And now we are by seeing the pattern, we know that that is the time to be more suspicious, okay. So this is it with the lecture. We'll meet in the other lecture. Until then, take care. Bye bye.